Kitty Die offers some deep cuts on the comic industry. It's from Dan Parent and Fernando Ruiz, two guys who worked on Archie books, which is funny because Archie books are extremely racist and sexist. The clan of bigots at Archie really hates Europeans and men. Archie, Vixens, Betty, and Veronica are all anti-white, politically correct cancer. If you see a blonde-haired guy in their comic, he's going to be OMG, literally Stalin. I haven't checked their social media. I'm just going to assume they are far left like their comrades. But credit where credit is due, they wrote some pretty funny material. They wrote a few series. I think they did 4 or 5 books each in 2016, 2017, and 2018. The books aren't exactly politically incorrect, but for the woke comics crowd, they are a bit unusual. The basic idea is that the main character is a witch who's the star of her own book. The greedy publisher wants to literally kill her off to boost sales. But the book pokes fun at the comic book industry and professionals. They even mention a website called Bleeding Stool. For left-wing comics, this is pretty weird. They very much try to present a united front. Wrongthink is discouraged. It's not like the comic is poking fun at the left itself, but it's poking fun at the industry, which happens to be to the left of Mao. They are making fun of marriage and death issues, too many variant covers, and sleazy Mark Waid types insiders. The first book was in 2016, so I assumed it was written before Trump derangement syndrome made people insane. Maybe it was written before the election or something. But then it continued on with another 4 issues in 2017 and 5 more in 2018. Basically, it's an Archie parody that spoofs the comic industry in general. Don't get me wrong, it could go much further, but it tells a good coherent story and then mixes in a few jabs at the comic industry every now and then. I checked the 2018 series and they kept up the jabs. I suspect that the woke comics mafia have just ignored it on social media because it didn't sell that well. I think it's marketed to the wrong crowd. It's a sexy cheesecake type thing with skinny, huge-breasted young girls, and there's no anti-male sexism or anti-European racism. I don't see the left-wing comics mafia Twitter communists being interested in this type of thing. I think the Comicsgate crowd would be interested, but they aren't aware of these types of books. I would say, hey, the team at Die Kitty Die should talk to the CG crowd. Come get interviewed, talk about the industry, talk to the CG guys on Twitter, market Die Kitty Die to an audience with money. But the fact is they can't. They would get blacklisted in the industry. To be fair, I'm sure the Die Kitty Die guys wouldn't come on a CG channel anyway because of their own preconceived notions. The whole thing is a bit frustrating. Die Kitty Die is leaving money on the table. I won't check their social media. I'm sure they think CG is a hate group or some nonsense. Actually, they probably push their humor at the industry's expense as far as they can without starting to get negative feedback from the 12 comic sociopaths on Twitter. It's a weird industry where you purposely alienate and insult a large portion of your potential customers. The one of the chapters in the books is talking about comic books, Free Comic Book Day, and they're sort of lampooning. Just make my 12 copies out to dear eBay auction winner. Kitty's been signing copies all day. Yeah, what a bunch of fair weather fanboys. Where have they been when Kitty needed them? Talking about the ups and downs in the industry. How you've got to try. You might have a great comic, but they can fall into decline. She's got some books in the 25-cent bin. So the publisher, who's an absolute scumbag, that bum Skip Stone, publisher of Kitty Comics, got desperate. Okay, I got an idea. Let's kill the character that the comic is based on. It's got a lot of humor in here. Through it all, Kitty had help from some of her fellow comic book characters. Here they're making fun of comic book tropes. Little Satan, America Gloria, is probably America Chavez, and Dinah Chick. Even one of Kitty's ex-husband, Derek, came in to side to the end. Ultimately, all the attempts on Kitty's life made her popular enough to get a new series. Just look at all those books. Actually, those are all the same book with 99 variant covers. That is an interesting take from these guys who are, I'm sure, on the left, to call out a problem in the industry with the way too many variant covers. I'm surprised they did that. But they know there's a problem. A lot of people in the industry know there's a problem. Even Mags Visage knows there's a problem. And then down here it says, these new artists sure make Kitty look differently. They're plain and absolutely mundane, zero breasts whatsoever, no sex appeal whatsoever. Yeah, you know what where they're going with that, because the character's an absolute sex pot, and that's what I was talking about in the Miss Marvel comics, or no, I'm sorry, Captain Marvel comics, where they refuse to draw boobs and breasts. The fact that women have female forms terrifies them. And the next panel says, I wonder what happened to the original artists. Are you kidding? They're comic book artists. I'm sure they were retired to sit on a beach neck deep in cash and hot chicks. Next issue, a reprint of this one. Comic artists, please help So Hungry. Yeah, they're making fun of the idea that comic artists are getting rich. Some comic artists, like Mark Waid and a few of the big names, are literally millionaires. But a lot of comic artists like these guys are not getting rich because of literally things like this, 99 variant covers. And just America Chavez type characters, just stupid marriage issues, death issues, whatever issues. They're talking about getting anyway. What matters is that Kitty's book is hot again. There's even talk of a Kitty movie. There's always talk about a movie for everything. You know, this is kind of funny because I think Mags Visage is getting something on Sci-Fi. Yeah, they're talking about just this stupid, low-selling comics, and why are people in the industry? Are they in the industry to sell great comics? No, they're in the industry to get a movie deal or some kind of development deal or something. And they go through meeting with producers and venture capitalists and all this kind of stuff. And I know this is they're dealing with a movie producer, but I see this guy and I just think Mark Waid says, you seem to forget I have final approval on merchandising as well as casting and script approval. Don't worry, this is all preliminary. My eyes are up here. Yeah, it's a strange industry where the comics is just a stepping stone to something better, something where they can make some serious money. But the thing is, they could make some serious money in comics if they wrote good comics. But apparently that's, I don't know, Boko Haram. It's a verboten. Anyway, this is the last scene in the book. You see what kind of book this is when you see an image like this. Sex appeal is very, very, very much on their mind. It's just so unlike the Archie, the Betty and the Veronicas, the Vixen's book, which are just disgusting, racist garbage. Anyway, check out Die Kitty Die. It's pretty funny, and it's a breath of fresh air. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and leave a like and a comment.